All right, guys, I got my man Brent in the chair. I'm gonna do a little point cutting video for you guys, show you guys some techniques. Got the white cape on so you guys can see what's going on, and I have my gloves off so you guys can see the hair. So I've gotten some complaints on that. I wanna make sure that you guys can see everything. So I'm gonna start off, I'm actually gonna turn them to the side. Now what we wanna do to start off, guys, I'm gonna give myself a profile guide going all the way down. That's gonna determine the length. So depending on how long we want it, obviously it is this length right now. I'm gonna go ahead and come straight through. I'm gonna take off about a ½ inch, decent haircut. Go ahead and just cut this from the front to back, right down the middle. That's gonna give us a guide as we come through and do our point cutting. So you'll see when we turn to the side that you will see this guide down the middle, and that will show us kind of where to do our point cut. So all we have to do is go straight down the middle. This is called a profile guide, following its head shape, going down the middle, and that's gonna give us our length as we work our way from front to back with the point cutting. So that's done, now we can turn them back straight. All right, guys, so basically just coming out of the side. Now when I pull it up, you should see in the middle we have our shortest length. So that's gonna be all the way through no matter where I go. Now you guys can see short, long next to it, and that's where I'm gonna determine basically how far down to point cut. So I'm just gonna start in the front, I'm gonna pull this section up. I wanna leave a decent amount sticking out of my fingers so you guys can see a lot sticking out. This is my guide over here. I'm gonna come in at a 45, and you guys, if you're uncomfortable, just slow down. As you close the scissor, we're gonna pull it out, and we're gonna cut basically some deep V's in. So we're creating texture. Guys, you can come in with it dry and do it more vertical, and that's gonna be more thinning. But right now we're wanting to create some texture so you can have that messy style. So I have my guide in the middle, come in at a 45. My steel blade is against my finger right here. Close it up as I pull out, and we're just gonna create some deep V's. Now you see this is kind of too far, so I'll just come over here, grab it back up. You can see where I already cut. Then we'll come in and do a couple more. And like I said, if you guys are uncomfortable, just slow down, come in, a little more precise. We're not doing a whole bunch of haircutting here, so we don't have to be fast. Now I'll just come behind it to the next section. Because I know that the middle guide is here, I'll kind of do each side at a time. So we've got my guide there, I pull up, come in here, 45, cut some deep V's. I might need to grip this again over here, work my way through. And you guys see, as you get comfortable with this, you'll be able to do it a lot faster. So I can see over here where the hair's falling out, I can see my guide here. Come in, deep V, point cut, and we're adding some texture. And this is kind of confusing, guys, but you know, most of the time we cut with scissors, we want everything to be consistent. So we want to kind of make sure it's consistent all the way across. Obviously right here, we're creating texture, so we're creating inconsistencies. But the high point of our V and the low point of our V should be consistent as we work our way across. So that's what we're looking for. If I pull the hair up and there's anything that looks too consistent, then I know I haven't point cut it yet. And I just want to make sure that my highs and my lows match. So again, hair falling out, there's my guide up here, come in at a 45, point cut some V's in. I'm going to continue to just work back right here, let it fall out. You guys can do it however you want. Usually I actually go from back to front. I kind of tackle the fringe last, but on him, we'll just come back in after we're done and clean that up. So kind of a funny thing, you know, like I said, we usually focus on everything being super consistent. So point cutting is one of those things that's a little bit different because it's not going to be consistent, but your highs and your lows should be consistent. So now we'll work up this side. Here's my guide, there's my guide. Come in, do a little point cut. Next section, short, short, 45 degrees. There's really no wrong way here, guys. You just want to add texture. If his hair was super long, I maybe would have come in and cut it down first. You can see here we're basically trimming it and adding texture at the same time. You guys can do it however you're comfortable. Sometimes when it's too long, it wants to wrap around your fingers and kind of makes it hard to do this texture. So I'll go ahead and cut some out of the way first. And you guys see we basically worked our way through. I'm going to do somewhat of a cross check. I'll kind of come, well, let me turn him. So now I can turn him and go horizontal. I'm going to pull it up. And we're looking for the same thing here. So we should have highs and lows that are consistent. Anything that's too far outside of that, I'm just going to come in and cut down. So if we have any peaks that are just obviously way longer, we'll take that out. It looks pretty good. There's a big peak here in the back. So a couple more point cuts. Now we'll come down the middle. And remember, we did that parting from the beginning. So the middle really should be good. And we'll go through. Honestly, it's kind of cut too consistent. So I'll just go through and add a little bit there, a little bit long here in the back. And then one more panel on this side. You guys can see first grip, there's a super long section. We'll just come in and add a little texture there. You guys can see this is a nice technique to cut the hair down, also add some texture, give you a nice messy style. Definitely something people are uncomfortable with at first. So you guys just slow down. Like I said, you don't have a whole lot of cutting to do when you do this. Just slow down, take your time. You get a lot faster at it. Now I'm basically gonna just come through and I'm just looking for anything that's, you know, out of kind of the highs and lows we talked about. Anything that is too far out of that, I just want to make sure that it's consistent. The same thing over here, guys. It's kind of like cross hatching. We cut this way horizontally, then we cut some vertical cross checks. Now I'm kind of coming diagonal. And like I said, I'm just looking for anything that looks outside of what we're aiming to get here. So some of these pieces are just a little bit long, so I'm just coming in a little bit more. And again, we want it consistent, but inconsistent. So once everything's cut, I will go ahead and blow dry, put some product in, and you guys will be able to see that visible texture that we cut. All right, so last but not least, guys, you can see a little bit heavy, a little bit long in the front. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come off of this guide here, and we're gonna work it in. So I'm just gonna bring it out with my fingers, and you can come in, same thing, but flip. So we were here, now we come here, steel blade against the finger, and you just work your way through, point cut, and that's just gonna give you less of a blunt, kind of Dumb and Dumber bangs, right? We don't wanna give him too blunt of bangs, so I just pull it out, come through, point cut that out. Just shortening this fringe so he can kind of wear it straight down without it hanging and looking so long. Now the reason it's so long is because we were pulling it all the way up here and it's actually growing out of way down here. So it's just a little longer than we want. I'm just going through one pass through, making sure that it, you know, fits with the rest of the haircut. Now we'll go to this other corner. The same thing, I'm basically looking from this length to this length and connecting it. So we'll start here, kind of have my guide on the side, come through, point cut it just to make sure it's not so nice and neat. Last thing, we got a guide here, last little chunk, work through, point cut again. And then you guys should be able to kind of comb it out and see. A little bit long right there in the middle. One more pass through. Boom, well, it should be good. So you guys can see, if you do it too chunky and too solid, you guys will actually be able to see it like a kind of a bad cut on top. You guys can see it still lays in pretty nice. Now I'm gonna give him just a real quick loose blow dry to knock all this moisture off of his hair. We'll put some clay in and you guys can see the finished style. All right guys, so this is Tomb45 Indestructible Clay. I just like to work it into dry hair and you guys are gonna see this texture just come to life. That's why this is my favorite product. Just kind of work it in, move it around. And I'll kind of just use my hands to shake it forward, kind of make them a little spiky and messy in the front. And you guys should be able to see all that texture that we cut in. So super nice. Sometimes if it's a little heavy, you guys may need to come in with like a wide tooth comb and comb it down. And then you can basically come back and fluff it up and add the texture that you want, make it messy however you want. All right guys, that is it for this texture point cutting video. I hope it was helpful for you guys. Make sure you guys click this video right here if you want to see some more shear techniques. Make sure you smash that thumbs up before you head out.